The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops. How are you today, Coach?
I am amazing. Get to talk another day. We get to talk about basketball. Help all our coaches out there.
Yep,
make better people through coaching.
Yeah, if you want to talk about basketball practice plans, Coach. I never want to step on your toes about your baby there.
They step on my toes. I want to hear what you think.
Well, what do I think? I think it's the perfect spot for the youth coach that needs practice plans. It is. Yeah. I mean, I've told you this a billion times. When I was coaching my son's baseball team, it's exactly what I would have wanted. I would have wanted to go buy something, print it off, have everything explained in PDF form and video form on my phone, and then just be able to go from there. I know enough baseball to be dangerous. Yeah, that's the problem.
It's plug and play. It really truly is. And if I was a coach, and that's why I created it, right? Because for all those coaches who were struggling, it's not a matter of just, you can find millions of drills online. That's not the point. The point is, how do you structure in such a way that it's that keeps the kids progressing through the year, and the following the framework, it allows you to adjust the difficulty level of each drill based on the basketball IQ of the players on your team. So pretty flexible that way. Anyway, I'm excited about it. Coaches, go over there.
I know.
Basketballpracticeplans.com. There's no reason you should be downloading or creating your own practice plans. Just go there. They're plug and play, download and go.
Done. And then go to coachingyouthhoops.com, which I'm hoping will be launched by the time this podcast goes live. We'll hope. I don't know. Anyway, I'm a basketball coach, not a techie, so I have to have somebody do all the tech side on the back end. Do the best I can. I'm not a big CFO like some of the other sites where I have all these big, multi-million-dollar people on the back end. It's me in my basement, not really, but like I feel like that sometimes. What was the show you and I grew up? That they were in the basement. They were rockers.
My gosh, yes.
It wasn't Ted's and Big Adventure. No. That was a different one. It was
it was the guy from Saturday Night
Live.
Saturday Night Live too, right?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll think about it. It'll probably come to us before the end of the podcast.
Right now that all the listeners are out there,
they're shouting it out.
It's this.
Remember they were in the basement and they would go rock on.
They had a movie.
And I'll figure it out as we do it. So what's today's topic, Coach?
Today we're going to talk about screens. This came up in one of the coaching clinics that I do on Wednesdays, the chalkboard or Wednesdays, what do I call it? Whiteboard Wednesdays.
Hey,
There
but
we
I
go.
remember the name of the movie. You want to know?
Oh yeah,
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. There it is. Good pull.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Remember Wayne's World? And there was actually a Wayne's World 2, but it was Wayne's World. That was like late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, Wayne's World. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So screening. This came out of the coaches clinic that I do and every Wednesday, and we were talking about how do you teach screens when you have limited time? So do you switch or not to switch? Right. So I'm sure you haven't listened because I just posted it. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I have an hour practice, or maybe 2, teaching kids how to screen, but then also how to defend screens. What do I teach? You can start on the offensive side or defensive side first. Your choice.
So I think it's an automatic. I think it's an automatic switch at the youth level.
And why?
Because I think there's so many other things we need to work on, and screening is such a complex thing that you just don't have. I personally don't think we have the time first of all, I don't think we have the time. I think it's a very complex thing. I think teaching switching teaches some important skills about communication, which is a really undertaught skill at the youth level and at the high school level, at the collegiate level, at the professional level. And in order to switch properly, you have to talk. So it builds in the communication part of the game that is missing in a lot of respects. So I think that's a big part of it, at least for me. That you have to teach the communication, but just there's so many different ways to read screens and to hedge and that you have an hour practice or 2 practices. Like, how much time do you really have to be able to do it? And I mean, I don't have that much time. So I think that's why it's got to be
switch. So your answer is switch on defense.
Switch on defense.
Switch on defense. Okay. But what is the difference in teaching? And doesn't also communication go with, hey, screen right?
It does.
So
it does.
But screen right or screen left, right? Your teammates yelling that out. Then I jam left or right. So jam right, getting. So you're telling me there's screen coming, right? I'm on your team. I get into the offensive player, right, into their face now, closer to step over the screen. Okay. Right. So when you say screen right, I think jam right.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo Mid Value en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con Mid Value, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Okay.
So I guess I'm saying, is that easier or harder to teach? Because you're saying switch on screens because it's easier.
Well,
right? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just playing the other side of it, just to have the discussion for those coaches who are like, well, no, I think it's easier to fight over the top of the screen. Essentially,
then you're going to do that every time. Then
they're going to try.
If you're going to do the screen the same way every time, then yes. That I think that's an important thing. You got to do that every time.
Well, let's move up a level on that then. Let's say you're teaching a more advanced team. Maybe it is an older team or just an advanced basketball IQ team.
Okay.
When do you teach switching versus staying? Are there some cues that you're looking at?
Say that again.
Sure. So if I'm teaching screening, let's say I do have time. Okay. Can you give us maybe 2 or 3 things? In this situation, I stay. In this situation, I switch. In your opinion, does that exist?
I don't know. I mean,
because there's so many what ifs. There's so many asterisks now.
There are.
Right.
That's why. I mean, even at the high school level, that's why we switch just about everything, because it takes all variability away. Like, there's no question about what you're doing on the screen. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it takes away question. I mean, when do things break down? Is when, you know, people don't know what to specifically do. They're not communicating. They don't know. I mean, we won a state title because someone helped and then recovered, and they left a big enough space that my guy was able to get the shot off. If they'd have switched it and jumped it, he wouldn't have been able to. I mean, not that it was the wrong call, not that that's the way they'd always been working on it, but, you know, if we know we're doing one thing all the time, and again, the argument against it is, that you're going to get all these mismatches. You're going to get big on a small, a small on a big. Yeah. I mean, I've coached 30 plus years. I've never seen that exploited to a point where it's affected a game ever.
And you're seeing that, probably going to see that more in college and the NBA.
Right. If I guard Giannis, it's going to be a problem. But it's like for the most part, it doesn't really even come into play at all. I mean, it's not even an issue in my opinion. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no. I like the simplicity in coaching one thing, because like you said, I think you just open up. You could literally coach. You could literally do a clinic just on screens.
You could spend years on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then to try to translate that to your players in limited practice time. So when I was coaching the boys, we wouldn't switch. We would try to fight over screens and stay, because there was this mentality, it's harder, it's tougher, right? Right. But I think what you're saying, if I'm going to stay, you stay every time. If I'm going to switch, I'm going to switch every time.
Right. But then if you're going to stay, then you got to deal with all the different types of screens that can happen, in my opinion. And that's where some of the issue comes in. It's like all these different things that can specifically happen. I just don't want to spend the time on that. That's just me, but I just don't want to spend the time on it, because I think there's other things to work on, especially at the youth level.
Right. Yeah.
That's part of my reason is like, I would just switch, because you have other things you need to worry about. What kind of offense you're going to run? What kind of defense? Do they know where a help side is? How does their shot look? Do they know how to play defense? Do they even know how to set a screen? Like, so again, it's just me thinking big picture. I got other things I got to worry about. That's just, I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer to this.
No, just like most things.
I mean, what did the people say when you brought this up?
Switch. Easier to teach. Just switch. Right. Yeah. So.
It is. And I mean, I coach at a pretty high school level, and we switch everything.
Yeah.
And again, if I was a collegiate coach, I wouldn't. I mean, I understand. I would, but I also don't have them for 6 weeks before my first game.
Right. Yeah. Right. So switch. I think the answer is we're going to go with is switch, but either way you teach it, you can't go wrong. But I think the preferred way, because it is a lot easier, just be consistent with whatever you're doing.
Right. Whatever you decide, or whatever your program decides, or whatever all of that is, that's where I think you just got to, pick something and then get good at it. It's like anything.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those questions come in and, well, what about the mismatches? And as you said, in your 30 years of coaching, it hasn't been exploited to the fact where you're going to be spending a lot of time determining what to do. So,
right. It's never been
definitely not at the youth level. I mean, there's very few cases where you're going to see such a huge mismatch. right? Where
Right.
somebody's going to be able to take advantage of that. So
I agree.
okay.
All right. Till next week, Coach.
Till next week, Coach.
All right.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.